Welcome back to SharePoint Charts Complete Training. In this session, we're going to look at how to do org charts. Believe it or not, you can set up a org chart and be able to format it and add people directly from a SharePoint list. And that's what the list template at SharePoint Dashboards provides. So we're going to walk through all the steps and do some practice so that you can know exactly how to do org charts. So let's go ahead and get into SharePoint. Back to my practice training site. In the case of this training, we're not going to be creating a list from Excel. Instead, we're going to be doing that from a list template. So in your training materials, you're going to see a link to that. It says download orgchart.stp. And you need to have that file. However, in order to be able to load that file, you have to be able to load list templates. And by default in a SharePoint site, you can't do that. And you need to enable a setting as a SharePoint admin in order to do that. So if you don't have that yet turned on your site, if you are an admin, you can follow the instructions on this page, or you need to get your admin to take care of this, your SharePoint admin, that is. Okay, so if I click on that link, it's going to take us over into the SharePoint Dashboards help section about list templates. And this is needing to use SharePoint Online Management Shell, and all the details are in that help section, which will tell you what to do. So I've already got that open, and I need to do a couple of things. First of all, I need to log in to the command shell, so I'm going to go ahead and do that now. So I just paste that. Of course, my SharePoint tenant is not Contoso. That's a fake URL. I need to replace that with my own. So mine is that, and I just hit command or enter, and I'm just logging in. All right, I'm just doing my MFA authentication. Hopefully you guys have that enabled in your tenant. That's certainly the way to go. All right, I'm in. Okay, and then it's actually a really simple command. So you can just copy and paste from the help page, and I need to put in the URL of the site where I need to execute that command. So I can copy and paste that. My site is this. So I can just copy and paste that into the command line. Whoops, not right there. Delete where it says, I need to delete where it says your site URL here. That's where I'm going to paste. That's it. This is the URL of my chart site. I just hit enter, and it'll think about it for a second, and then that means success. It doesn't tell you anything, but the fact that I didn't get an error message is that success. That's everything I need to do. You will never have to do this again for your site. So some of the other charting training, we also use these SharePoint list template files, these STP files. And if you have any more of those, you're going to be good to go. Now that I've done that, when I go to the list settings for my list settings, the site settings, there are more options here. This wasn't here before. In particular, what I'm interested in is list templates. So the command I just executed unlocked that ability. Now I can get in here to do what I want. So I need to click on the Files tab and then Upload Document, choose File, and then on my desktop is the STP file. Let me make sure. I think I may have forgot to download that. So I just need to come back over here. We're done with that help page. Click on download org chart, and let's go back and try one more time. There it is, orgchart.stp. Okay, I'm uploading that. I'm going to stick with the default name, that's fine. And now this list template is available. It means I can create a list from that in my site, which is exactly what I need to be able to do. So I'm going to go back to the home page, and then I need to go to Site Contents. And in order to create a list from a list template, I need to go to the classic SharePoint view. That functionality is only available there. So once I'm in the classic view, I can do add an app. And then in this list, you're going to find the new list template that we loaded, which is org chart. There it is. That's brand new. So I just click on that, and you can call it what you want. I'm simply going to just call mine org chart. Click create. And much like before, we were creating lists from Excel workbooks. This is going to create a new list for you in your site from this SharePoint list template with all of our column definitions and everything already set up. So that's there. Once we've done that, we can exit the classic experience, and that's definitely what we want to do. I'm going to go to the org chart, and I, of course, always like to link to that from my home page. I'm going to go to the home page and update my quick links tiles. So I'm going to do edit, and let's go ahead and add it in our main section at the top. So I'm just pasting, and this is org chart. Let's change the icon to something more interesting. I don't think they have org chart, but every time I say that, sure enough, they have an org chart. Okay, so select that and close that sidebar, and I want to scooch that over to the end and republish. All right, so now we have the org chart. So we've got some different views. We've got the all items view and the org chart view. That's where we're going to apply the org chart template. In order for this template to work, I need to have at least one record in the list. So before you do anything, make sure you do that. And I can just put in some basic information just to get things started. So I'm just going to put in my own name. And you can put in your own data for this. In fact, that's what you'll need to do because every organization is different. You're going to have different people in your SharePoint tenant. This is just for practice. You can put in whatever you need to put in. It doesn't matter. It's just for practice. So I'll say solutions developer and say IT. That's fine. I'm just getting the ball rolling, as I like to say. And then I'm going to come over to org chart. And we also need another view. We're going to have two views. You're going to see we have one in which we edit and one in which we just view the information. That's what you're going to share with users. So let's do another view called org chart edit. Okay, so we got multiple views going. And then what I'm going to do is come to my org chart template, which is going to be linked from your training materials, and go ahead and do a refresh here just so we can see the whoops, that's not the org chart template. Give me 1 second. So we can go down to view, org chart. You're going to have this linked in your materials. There it is. Okay, not a lot of settings here. All of your configuration, for the most part, is going to be done in SharePoint. There's some basic settings. We've got the chart title, so I'll put the name of my organization, and then I can adjust the canvas width. Make that 1,000, 1,000, and then you can do things like adjust the card width and that type of thing. Now, we'll ask you, Do you want the picture to come from the Microsoft 365 profile, or do you want it to come directly from your list? And then same thing for the job and department. It can either read from that profile if you want it to, or you can have it from your list. There's good and bad with each one. It really just depends on how complete and how accurate the information is in your Microsoft 365 user profiles. A lot of organizations, it's not very accurate, not very complete, and that's going to result in a chart that doesn't look great. You're going to see the gray heads and missing information, and that's not great. And that's why you may want to go with the list setting where you can more explicitly define it directly in the list. For the sake of our training, we're going to go ahead and just stick with list for those two options. So I just need to do copy template. And I want you to notice there's a special setting here which says edit mode. We're going to have that enabled for one view and disabled for the other. Okay, so let me go to Format Current View, Advanced Mode, and then select all and paste. Okay, so not a very interesting org chart. It's an organization of one, but it is started, and that's what we're looking for. Notice in here, when I go to the card, there's a little edit button, and that lets me make updates. I can move this around by changing the row and column settings. So I can say, row 2, column 2. And you can see I can kind of real time move my card around, and I can change the background color, to whatever I want. So maybe I want to do like a light blue background color, and then I've got information in my card, so I can fill all that in. Now, if I don't have a picture profile, then you get the gray head as I described it. So now we've kind of got things rolling. We also want to make the chart which users are going to look at, which is non-editable. So that's my org chart view. And in order to set up that view, I just need to uncheck edit mode and then copy the template. So I have exactly the same thing. The only difference is that I uncheck the edit mode setting. So I'll do Format Current View once again, and then select all and paste. Now the canvas size just controls that background box. So it really just depends on how many people you're putting into your org chart. And obviously you can keep adjusting your template depending on how many of those people cards you're putting into this overall. So what do you do at this stage? So this doesn't have the edit mode. That's what you're going to share with your users when you're all done. When you're working on it, you're going to use your edit view, and you can just keep adding people. In fact, that's exactly what you want to do. So I just click on new, and then I'm going to put more people in here. Okay, so let's do, I'm just putting in people that are in my tenant. So this isn't actually a real name. Just some fictional information. This is just for practice. IT department, and you can always start them at row 1, column 1, and that just makes it so that it's going to show in the upper left corner. And then I can do things like move it around, say, no, I want that on row 2, and it updates real time as I do that. I can scooch it over, say, all right, now I want that in column 2. And then you want connectors, so you're going to have lines that you want to draw between the different people in there. And that's what this top connector and bottom connector are for. So I can say, whoops, that's the wrong one. So nothing on the top connector, say none. Bottom connector is a line. And then I just go down to the second person and I say top connector line. Okay, so let's do some more. Okay, I'll just add in some more fictional people into my org chart. So I just keep on clicking new, and I just add those names. So here's Brad Banana. Let's say that he is accounting manager in accounting. Okay, and then we'll say that's going to be on row 2, column 1. Okay, let's scooch Brad over. I'm going to take him all the way over to column 3. There we go. And then let's add one more person. So just trying to remember some of the names I like to use. Gloria Graves. I have silly fake names in my practice SharePoint site here. We'll say that this is the customer service manager and customer service. Okay, that's going to be on row 2. Okay, I can just save that. Okay, there's Gloria. Okay, now these aren't connected. How do you connect these together? Okay, so you'll notice they only have top connectors and bottom connectors, but you have different options. So I have an option for up right, and then I can go over to Brad and do the option for up left. And then this doesn't look right now. So what do I need to do to make that look right? In the top connector, I can do up both. And there you go. So now you have a tree. Now, this is just a small area that I'm doing, but you can expand this out. This can be as large as you want. There's no limit on that. It can be as many rows and columns as you would need for your organization. So you're going to work on it in the edit mode, and then once that's all complete, the view that you'll share out with your users is just your regular org chart view where there's no edit button showing. So all of your configuration updates, for the most part, you're going to be doing that in SharePoint, which is a little bit different than the approach that we take with some of the other charting templates that we do. All those color settings and everything, that's baked right in. And you may want to have different colors according to the groups they're in. So I can do different background colors. I might like to change that up a little bit. So I can make this person, like a light green. And maybe for Brad, since he's in accounting, I want to make accounting correspond to a particular color. You can see there's lots and lots of color options to choose from. And then maybe for this middle one, I'm going to do like a light yellow or something like that. So you can really kind of make it colorful. Now these are missing pictures of the people, and that's key. And you definitely want to include that. And for demonstration, I'm going to go over to another one that has more in it. So you can see there's more users loaded, and I'm going to go over to this view so you can start to get a picture of something coming together more. I'm sure you will agree that this looks much, much better with user profiles loaded. Well, how did you get them in this case? I mentioned in the beginning that it could be the case that there isn't good consistency in terms of people having loaded their pictures to their Microsoft 365 user profiles. And if that's true, it might be better for you to explicitly control that in the list. In the case of this, I've got my picture profile tied to the list, and that makes it easier to load. So if I want to get a picture loaded for user, I can just go right to that SharePoint picture field and load. But I definitely will tell you that this org chart is going to look much better if you ensure that you get those pictures. And then the same thing for job titles and departments. That can really help a lot. So I've shown a small example just for the sake of training in time, but this can scale according to however many people that you need to do. And you can also make adjustments in the template to have different size cards. So this one is defaulting to 250 pixel width and a 200 pixel card height. But if you want to try for different looks, you don't have to have that same card height. You can do something different there if you wish. You can actually custom configure that. Maybe you want to do squares. Maybe you just think that looks a little bit better. It's just according to whatever your user preference is. But on this list template screen, really the only thing that you need to do is set your chart title, your card size, the overall canvas size. You need to make that critical decision for your picture source and job source. Is it going to come from the Microsoft 365 profile, or are you going to do that explicitly in your list? And then you can set the canvas background as well. So that's it. This was a relatively quick training for an interesting chart. This is really about incremental changes. Once you have your org chart list template into SharePoint, you create your list from that, and then you put in that practice record. At that point, you just keep loading in new users, and you move those cards around until you get that tree, that hierarchy built out to look how you want. I do recommend that you break up your org chart into multiple groups. It's going to be overwhelming, too much to look at if you try to put everything all together. Imagine if you had to do 60 or even 100 employees. That would be way too much. In that type of a situation, what you want to do is create multiple views in your SharePoint list and then filter those. So you probably would want to have one, for example, for the sales department, and then another one for the service department, and another one for IT. And that's something users are going to understand. They will just be able to go to different views. You link them to that, and they can digest that by just looking at it individually in each of those groups. And it's going to be a lot more manageable for you to get those org charts defined, and also more flexible when you need to update it when people come and go in the organization. So I hope you found this interesting. This is the first chart that we've done in this training, which is using a SharePoint list template, but there are more to come. So you're going to be interested to see some other diagrams. Later we're going to get to flowcharts and swim lanes diagrams that use a similar kind of concept to let you build a dynamic chart. Good luck.